The penthouse elevator doors slid open at 2:47 p.m., 5 hours earlier than usual. Elena Blackwood's Louboutins clicked against marble as she rubbed her temples, the merger meeting cancelled due to her counterpart's sudden illness. She'd built her tech empire from nothing, turning a college dorm room idea into a billion-dollar corporation, but today, all she wanted was to kick off these heels and hold her 3-year-old triplets. The silence struck her first. Usually, the sound of Maya, Lucas, and Sophie's laughter echoed through the sprawling apartment. Her heart lurched. She'd fired their nanny last week for being constantly glued to her phone, and the replacement wasn't starting until tomorrow. That left Marcus, the building's janitor, whom she'd asked, practically begged, to watch them for a few hours. The elderly man had seemed kind enough in their brief hallway encounters, but what did she really know about him? Elena's breath caught as she crept down the hallway, her mind conjuring terrible scenarios. The door to the children's playroom stood ajar, and voices drifted out, Marcus's weathered baritone mixed with her children's excited chatter. She pressed herself against the wall and peered inside, and what she saw turned her blood to ice. Marcus sat cross-legged on the floor, his janitor's uniform traded for an old cardigan, surrounded by her children. But it wasn't just that they were together. The entire room had been transformed. Blankets draped over furniture created an elaborate fort system. Picture books lay scattered everywhere. And in the center, Maya clutched a battered photograph, tears streaming down her little face. "My mommy doesn't love me anymore," Maya sobbed, and Elena felt her heart shatter. "She's always gone." Elena's hand flew to her mouth. She'd known the late nights were hard on the children, but hearing her daughter's pain spoken aloud was unbearable. "Now, Miss Maya, that's not true at all," Marcus said gently, his voice cracking with emotion. He pulled out a faded wallet from his cardigan and extracted an old photograph. "You see this picture? This was my daughter, Rebecca. She worked day and night, just like your mama. I used to think she didn't have time for me either." Lucas crawled closer, his eyes wide. "Where is she now?" Marcus's weathered hands trembled as he held the photo. "She passed away 3 years ago. Car accident on her way home from work. And you know what my biggest regret is? That I never told her how proud I was. How much I understood that every late night, every missed dinner, every cancelled weekend, it was all because she loved us so much. She was building a future for her family." Sophie, always the observant one, touched Marcus's knee. "You miss her. Every single day, sweetheart. But here's what I learned, and what I wish I could tell her one more time." He looked at each child individually. "Your mama is out there fighting dragons for you. They're not the fire-breathing kind, but they're just as scary. They're called deadlines, and meetings, and responsibilities. And she fights them so you three can have everything she never had." Elena pressed her back against the wall, silent tears streaming down her face. She'd been so focused on providing financial security that she'd forgotten they needed to know why. "My Rebecca used to work 16-hour days," Marcus continued, his voice thick with memory. "She wanted her son, my grandson, to go to college. She wanted him to never worry about whether they could afford medicine or food or a safe place to live. She killed herself working to give him chances she never had." "Did it work?" Maya asked, wiping her nose on her sleeve. Marcus's face broke into a bittersweet smile. "He just finished his residency at Johns Hopkins. He's going to be a doctor. Rebecca never got to see it, but everything she sacrificed, every minute she spent away from us, it mattered. It all mattered. But she missed time with you," Lucas said, his voice small. "She did," Marcus admitted. "And that hurt. But you know what would have hurt more? If I'd spent our time together being angry instead of cherishing every moment we had. If I'd never told her I was proud. If I'd never said I understood." He gathered the children closer, and Elena watched as her 3 babies nestled against this kind stranger as if they'd known him forever. "Your mama comes home exhausted, doesn't she?" The triplets nodded in unison. "And she probably feels guilty every single day for not being here more. The question is, when she does come home, do you want to spend that time making her feel worse, or making those moments count?" Maya looked at the photograph in her hand, one of Elena holding all 3 of them as newborns, her face radiant despite the exhaustion. "I want to make them count." "Then here's what we're going to do," Marcus said, his eyes twinkling. "We're going to create something special. A surprise that shows your mama you understand. That you know she's a superhero, even if her cape is a business suit. For the next hour, Elena watched through tears as Marcus helped her children create a welcome home station by the door. They drew pictures with crayons. Maya's showed Elena as a literal superhero fighting dragons labeled bad meetings. Lucas created a coupon book with offerings like 1 free hug, no talking required, and quiet time when you're tired. Sophie, always artistic, made a crown from construction paper that read, "World's Best Mama." But it was what Marcus did next that truly broke Elena. He pulled out his phone and helped each child record a video message. Maya went first, her little voice serious. "Mama, I love you. I'm sorry I said you don't love me. Mr. Marcus helped me understand that you're building our future. Thank you for being so strong." Lucas followed. "Mama, when you're home, I promise to stop asking why you have to leave again. I just want to play with you, whatever time we have." Sophie, barely able to articulate her feelings at 3 years old, simply blew kisses at the camera and said, "Mama fights dragons for me. I love you so much it hurts my heart." Elena couldn't hold back anymore. She pushed away from the wall and walked into the room, tears streaming freely down her face. 4 pairs of eyes turned to her in shock. "Mama." The triplets scrambled to their feet and rushed toward her, but they stopped short, uncertainty on their faces. Elena dropped to her knees and opened her arms. They crashed into her, and she held them like she'd never let go, sobbing into their hair. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Marcus moved to stand, but Elena reached out and grabbed his weathered hand. "Please, don't go." The older man's eyes were wet as he settled back down. "Mrs. Blackwood, I didn't mean to overstep. You gave them what I couldn't," Elena said, her voice breaking. Understanding. Context. Truth. She looked at her children, then back at Marcus. "How much do I owe you for today?" Marcus looked offended. "Ma'am, you don't owe me anything. This was a gift. Then let me give you one in return." Elena's mind was racing, pieces falling into place. "My children need someone who sees them, really sees them. Someone who has wisdom I can't provide. And I need to know they're with someone who loves them, not just watches them." "Mrs. Blackwood." "Elena," she corrected. "And I'm offering you a position. Not as their nanny, as their grandfather. Family. With a salary that reflects what you're truly worth." Marcus's face crumpled. "I'm just a janitor. You're a man who raised an incredible daughter and understands sacrifice and love in ways that matter more than any credential." Elena squeezed his hand. "Please, let me give my children the gift of you." The old man looked at the 3 eager faces surrounding him and nodded, unable to speak. That evening, Elena did something she hadn't done in months. She turned off her phone, ignored her emails, and sat on the floor with her children and Marcus, building blanket forts and reading stories until the triplets fell asleep in her lap. As she carried each child to bed, Marcus spoke quietly from the doorway. "Rebecca would have liked you. You remind me of her, strong, driven, willing to sacrifice everything for your children." "I'm going to do better," Elena promised. "I can't be here all the time, but when I am, I'm going to be present." "That's all any child really needs," Marcus said. "And maybe someone to help them understand the difference between absence and abandonment. They've got that now." 3 months later, Elena implemented a company-wide policy: flexible hours for parents, mandatory work-from-home days, and a childcare center on site. Her board questioned the expense until she explained, with tears in her eyes, what she'd learned from a janitor who'd lost his daughter to the very culture of overwork she'd been perpetuating. The story spread, featured in business magazines as a revolutionary approach to work-life balance. But for Elena, standing in her kitchen watching Marcus teach her children to make his late daughter's famous pancake recipe, the revolution was far more personal. She'd been frozen that day, watching a stranger love her children, terrified of what she might find. Instead, she discovered that sometimes the people we overlook, the ones society doesn't value, carry the wisdom we desperately need. And sometimes coming home early is exactly what saves us, opening our eyes to what truly matters before it's too late.